1.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the New York State Bridge Authority meeting, December 19th, 2019. Before we begin our meeting, we're going to do our audit committee, and our finance committee, and our governance committee. In saying that, we'll start out with the Chairman Roger Higgins to start with our audit committee.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. We'll start with a motion to approve the minutes, approve and adopt the minutes of September 19 committee.
So moved.
Second.
Mine is from you.
Yes, you're on this one, Ed.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? It's approved. The only item on our agenda is the review of the annual report on committee activities. This was distributed to you earlier, last week actually. I assume everybody's had an opportunity to look it over. Are there any questions? Seeing none, motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Is there any other business to come before the audit committee today? Seeing none, motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Higgins, Commissioner Higgins. You did a great job like normal. Next, Finance Committee, we have our Rod Dressel as our chairman. Mr. Dressel?
Okay, well, our agenda for the meeting today is a little different than the normal one here. So we're going to have the minutes to adopt, and then we're going to review our year's activities, which we have complied with and have in our board meetings. But how are we going to work the budget and financial plan and the revised bridge, which is new here, so forth? Are we going to go through it here right now, or have?
You gotta go through it here now, then we'll make a motion on the board. when we have
So
the
then,
full board.
okay, we'll approve the minutes then, first.
Point of information, I noticed in the minutes that I am listed as the seconder on the minutes. I'm not a member of this subcommittee. Okay, so I think Chairman Jerrington, you have to be the second one.
Correct.
Okay, so you want to make that amendment.
You were part of the committee as well.
As a committee as a whole.
Right.
That's okay.
We're satisfied with that?
You hear that, Jen?
Okay, so leave it alone, then, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Going on to the next, I think you've read all our accomplishments for the year. We've abided by our regulations and our approvals, so we had our 4 meetings. So is there any other comments on our accomplishments for the past year?
If not, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. So now let's move on. Brian, you're going to help us with the next 2 topics.
Yes, I am, thank you. Okay, so in your place, I passed out for the meeting a copy of the latest version of the budget and financial plan. This is somewhat materially different than the original plan that was passed out in September of this year. Basically, the total increase that's being considered under this plan is a phased increase over the coming 4 years. It considers a bond anticipation note in 2021 to support the redecking of the DuBois Beacon Bridge North Span, and an ultimate debt issue in 2022. Okay. Other than that, mostly the operating expenses remain the same, and overall the capital program is the same as originally approved by the board in September.
Excuse me, right, so bond anticipation note will be 2021,
That is correct.
or we will award the contracts in 20?
We will award the contract for the North Span redecking in 2020 once bids are received.
And it's just, to me, that's most critically important.
And then we'll issue the regular bonds in 2022 to retire the ban.
To retire the ban, yes. Expect it to be a 30-year bond.
Okay. Well, I hope that, I hope we can get something accomplished here, because I've never had so many comments thrown out. Right, you're still on the Bridge Authority? What's going on? Because here, all these articles here, and it's like, oh. So anyway, I think it's time we kind of, hopefully we can put things to sleep into motion here. Because we've had a pretty good reputation for bridge maintenance in the past, and finance especially, holding our own here. So, okay, so I had a second, and
Well, just a comment on that, that I think we're all here to work for the same purpose here, to, keep our bridge in very good shape, keep tolls very affordable to the people that utilizes our bridges, and, there's certain things that we must do, and have to do, in order to keep our bridges in the condition we'd like them to keep. So I'm glad it finally came to a resolve regarding our final numbers, regarding the toll increase and how the toll increase is going to be implemented. But let's not look backwards, let's look forward. But there again, Rob, you're correct on saying that, I think every member of this board puts a lot of time and effort in, and they're very conscientious of decisions that we make here.
okay, so we are going to move to put this sent to the board for action on its regular agenda, right? Okay, so do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. So, and then there's the other one on the revised system networks.
Yes,
Brian?
consistent with the budget and financial plan, we're obligated to go and notify the trustee that we put forward a separate toll increase than was originally proposed. While even without a toll increase, we would have been in compliance for next year. We're still looking to go and, in the spirit of full disclosure, provide a revised estimated bridge system net revenues. Within the report, you'll note that the authority still maintains an excess over coverage requirement of $13.7 million in 2019 and $12.1 million in 2020 as projected currently.
Okay, any other discussion?
If not, I'll make a motion.
Second.
All right, we're all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Let's see, I saw something else here. This meeting approved the loss. I was all through with this, so. Okay, is there any other new business for the finance committee?
Move to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, back to you.
Mr. Dresser, you did a tremendous job, my mom, almost as good as Roger.
Thank you.
Next is the Governance Committee. Myself being chairman, Commissioner Higgins and Commissioner Stanton. Approve the minutes of January 17th meeting, please. Second.
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Authorize the annual confidential survey of commissioners regarding the board performance.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Brian, just want to explain?
Okay, as required by the budget office, we're required annually to go and pass out a survey to allow all board members to go and express their opinions on governance of the authority. We've done this annually. I'm passing out now a copy of the survey and an envelope addressed to me to return to, where I'll accumulate all of the responses and return them to the authority's budget office. I'll report to the board the outcome of the survey in January.
And you have to put postage on the envelope, right?
I didn't forget that.
Any questions for Brian regarding that? We do it annually. If not, all in favor, or someone make a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Review of the government's committee charter and authorities mission statement and performance measures. Someone move it first? Vote. Second. Commissioner Stanton, second, please.
I'm sorry, second. If I may, I noticed one anomaly in our mission statement, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think I wrote this thing about 30 years ago, all right? We referred to, in the very first line,
Which page?
I'm sorry, of the mission statement, policy guideline,
Okay.
okay? Very first line says, the mission of the New York State Bridge Authority is to maintain and operate the vehicle crossings of the Hudson River, entrusted to its jurisdiction, which was true at the time I wrote it. Okay? I think we could just eliminate the word vehicle, which would bring us into compliance to cover the walkway across the Hudson. That's what I was about. So I think we have to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
Valid point.
So you're
Very
on,
good pickup.
you want to amend that?
Amend that.
You want to amend?
Yeah, I offer amendment that we eliminate the word vehicle from the first line.
I'll second that.
Second?
I
Any
second.
discussion? Yes. If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, regarding the resolution with the amendment, we'll move it, please.
Yeah, so moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Review of annual report of governance committee. Move it, please.
So moved.
Second? Commissioner Stanton?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions? If not, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any other business? If not, a motion to adjourn,
Move to
please.
adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Before we begin our regular board meeting, just introduce the commissioners. I'm going around to my left, Commissioner Rod Dressel, Commissioner Diane Jemblowski, Commissioner Roger Higgins. We have an honored guest here, Chris LeBryan from the Governor's Office. We have Commissioner Harry Stanton, we have our counsel Carl Whitback, we have our acting executive director Tara Sullivan, and myself, Richard Gerantine, as chairman. And around the room, we have our distinguished department heads and employees that make this bridge authority so valuable. Saying all that, adopt the minutes of the board meeting on November 21st, 2019.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Questions? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No administration and resources, engineering and maintenance. Jeff,
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman.
how are you this lovely day?
Good, yourself?
Seeing you, it can be better.
Okay. First up, we have an amendment to what the board had approved at last month's board meeting for the new plow and pattern truck at the Kingston-Rhinecliff Bridge. When we were preparing the purchase order, it was discovered that the materials needed to be made out to Navistar ink instead of Ben Funk. We'd like to amend this resolution so we can proceed with the procurement of the truck.
Second.
Questions? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Second up, we're into doing our standard reissue of cameras. The useful life we're getting to the end of the useful life of this system for cameras, for video analytics. We rely on them to do motion detection of critical security areas of the bridge authority. So we're starting to schedule replacement. And right now we'd like to purchase 13 cameras under the authority's camera replacement project in the capital plan. We issued a request for proposals. This purchase did not have to meet the MWBE or SDBOB goals. They're excluded. So we received 2 proposals, and we'd like to approve the low bidder, Argent Associates, with a not to exceed cost of $71,846.15.
So moved.
Second.
Roger?
I'm just curious, when, a couple summers ago, we had that base jumper. Was that one of the thermal cameras, or was that just one of the regular standard cameras on the tower? Do you happen to know?
Oh, that we caught them?
Yeah.
I don't recall at the time which
I don't either.
one it was. We also caught but the ones that
Oh,
Bear
the
Mountain
Bear
was the
Mountain
ones
Bridge.
that.
They were the
that
thermal
caught,
cameras,
yes.
because that was at
Yes,
nighttime.
that was nighttime.
Yeah, the base jumper was the thermal camera.
That too?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was the SiteLogix cameras that are being replaced now.
Good.
It did find those, it did indicate to the command center that someone was trespassing.
This is covers purchase only. Can we have additional cost for installation, or we do it ourselves?
We'll be installing the cameras.
Any other questions? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Next?
Emergency treated salt procurement. As we start the winter season, we fill up our salt sheds ahead of time. We were able to do this by still leaving $14,000 in our 2019 salt budget. However, the storm of December 2nd was particularly long and took a lot of our salt supplies down. leaving us a risk of running out of salt is not a condition we always consider unacceptable at this time. So we need to replenish the salt at our 3 southern facilities. So although each purchase by itself would be less than $15,000, the total is $27,608. So we'd like to ask permission to recoup the cost that it took to refill these salt sheds.
So moved. Second, please.
Just 2 questions, Jeff. One, who are you buying it from? Secondly, how much are we holding in each of those 3 areas?
We're getting our salt from Appalachia Salt LLC. It's through the OGS contract.
And how much do we hold in each of these 3 areas?
Well, I mean, you can see it varies between facility. Like Newburgh Beacon, we just put a new salt shed in there a year and a half ago. They can handle at least 200 tons of salt. So that facility has the most available. And then down at Bear Mountain, not so much. We can only handle, maybe 60 to 70 tons of salt down there. So if we get into any trouble, we can always truck salt from Newburgh down to Bear Mountain. But typically we're able to refill the salt sheds as we need it.
Any other questions? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Next.
And then for the 2020 budget for treated salt, we're, again, the Appalachia Salt was the OGS contract that goes through 2020. Again, we want to have the ability to purchase up to $140,000 and $3 of salt. The purchases will be on an as-needed basis with no minimum purchase requirement. So what we see, you can see by the bridge how much salt we're anticipating to need this year. So we have a total of $140,003 of salt.
So moved.
Second, please.
Second.
Question? If not, all in favor, say aye. Jobs in progress report, please.
Jobs in progress, the Kingston Bridge, as you may know, we're starting to have some rattling problems of the overlay down there. So starting last night and to continue tonight and tomorrow night, we're doing milling out there to mill off the bad overlay. And then as part of our capital plan is we'll be putting a new overlay on in the spring. So traffic will be riding on the existing deck as it did when it was first installed, before the overlay was put on. Traffic rode on that deck for 3 years. So we're going to ride on it through the winter here because we can't get hot mix to put down at a decent temperature at this period of time.
So when you put the overlay back on, are you gonna put a rumble strip in again, or was that the problem, the rumble
We have
strip?
to, well, yeah, we were looking in to see exactly what the problem is.
Yeah.
The rumble strips weren't necessarily the pieces that were flaking off.
Right.
However, they may have helped induce some water into the
Oh.
deck, underneath the overlay and cause some problems. So we're gonna look at that before we put them back on.
Okay.
Rumble strips you can't put the sealer on. Would a sealer help to?
Well, the problem is that this overlay is a really thin overlay. It's 3/4 to an inch thick. So when you start putting 5/8 of an inch of rumble strip in there, there's not a lot left between that and the deck. So
And the bridge has to vibrate some.
it does move.
And
Yeah.
so obviously it doesn't. And then the water gets under it now and freezes. But this season we've had.
When you get a lot of rain in the wintertime, it's not a good combination with overlays.
Tara?
Let me just add that the men who were working last night were working the entire night in -25 wind chill. And they're gonna be out there again tonight and tomorrow night until the job is done. And hats off to these guys for the job they're doing. I went by this morning to visit with them and talk about the night. And, you know, they're just completely camaraderie and dedicated and devoted to getting this job done. This problem on the overlay of the Kingston Rhine Cliff Bridge was just this immediately escalating problem. And everyone has pitched in, both from this bridge as well as Kingston, and we're going to be out there again tonight, so.
We're using our own staff to do this? Or?
Yes.
Well, our
Along
staff
with
is
the
augmenting a contractor.
Yeah.
We're utilizing our emergency services contractor to get out there. The plan had changed, as Tara had mentioned, you know, we were initially looking at just repairing certain areas. We were gonna actually pay to keep an asphalt plant open for hot mix so that we could put it out there. That was in the middle of last week, and then by the end of last week, there were many more areas that were starting to pop up, and it just came to a situation where, you know what, we're gonna be just chasing our tail.
It's clearly the right decision, but let's all keep in mind the law of unanticipated consequences.
That's exactly right, and, you know, getting it done at
So-
night is a critical piece to this, and so,
Get the stuff off.
so not only were they up all night doing this in this weather, but there they were at their posts this morning, so.
We're still doing the toll-less program we had there. This is no toll takers.
And toll takers.
Right.
Okay.
After
That
10,
doesn't change.
after
We
10.
got the
Machines
machines.
still run overnight, yes.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
But we had to alternate traffic in order to get the work done, so that's why we had to be done at night.
Yeah.
The only other project to comment on is the south span walkway repairs are shut down for the winter time until the weather clears in the spring.
Any questions? Yeah.
Move to accept the job supplies.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Jeff. Brian?
First item up is the monthly investment report. There are 10 investments, all of a routine nature. Those are reflected in the investment inventory on the next page. Currently, the authority's maintenance reserve fund stands at a balance of 53 million. Investment yield income, we dropped down to 2.12%. You'll remember the Fed started lowering rates again, so we're seeing the impact of that.
Move to accept the investment report.
Second, please.
Second.
Questions? If not, all in favor, say aye.
All right.
Next, budget.
Okay, coming out of the committee, consistent with what was said earlier, the authority has revised its budget and financial plan. The plan was made available to the public beginning roughly September 9th. It's been available for public inspection as required under the regulation for the required 30 days, considerably more. Some comments have been received. The revised budget has been reviewed by the committee earlier today. And again, this budget as proposed contains a phased-in smaller toll increase over what was originally proposed in September. It does include the redecking of the Newburgh Beacon Bridge north span.
Move, please.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any questions for Brian? If not, all in favor, say aye. Next, Brian.
Next up, similar to the budget and financial plan, the revised bridge system net revenues coming out of committee, again reflecting that the authority will be in compliance with its bond resolution with an excess over its net revenue requirement.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Next.
As required under Title 21, New York Code's Rules and Regs, Section 201.2, bridge tolls are established for passage across the facilities owned by this authority. It's allowed for fares, discounts are allowed for fares through the Easy Pass system. Annually, it is required that the discounted tolls be approved by the board. So this particular extension provides for the full year from December 31, 2019 through December 31, 2020. This is the 7th extension since the Easy Pass discounts for the toll have been implemented.
The tolls post-May will be, this will cover the tolls up until May and post-May also.
That is correct.
Two different rates, but one
It
resolution
basically continues an Easy Pass discount provided for payment by the transponder.
for the year.
Yes.
Very good.
So moved.
Second, please.
Second.
Questions? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Next.
Okay, in light of the reduced anticipated revenue associated with a smaller toll increase, the authority was able to go and allow for a smaller bridge property and loss of revenue insurance premium. So if you look in the package that I put next to your packages, I have the revised premium is approximately $20,000 lower than what was originally provided to the board. So the premium now is $927,377. Basically, it's a $15,861 increase, or 1.7% over the prior year. And it should be noted that the insurable values or the appraised values of the bridges increased by 3.2%. So we actually did pretty well.
So moved.
Second, please.
Second.
Questions? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Information technology, no reports. Bridge operations, Frank.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I have 3 items for your consideration today. The first being our armored car service contract. In December of 2016, the board approved a resolution for a proposed 3-year contract with Dunbar Armored Incorporated to transport toll funds collected at the authority's 5 facilities to a central depository via armored car. The armored car services are exempt from MWB and SDVOB, so they do not apply. In August 2018, Dunbar was purchased by Brinks Incorporated. The contract still stays intact as it was given to us at that time. The board approved the 3-year contract. In it, it contains an option for 2 additional 1-year terms. The contract will begin the first of 2 option years on February 1st, 2020, at a cost of $2,785 per month, which reflects a 3% increase in the basic service, which is consistent with the original proposal. The excess time at the facility fee, the excess time at the facility fee has increased also 3%. The fuel surcharges are variable, and they are all dependent on the U.S. Energy Administration prices above $1 a gallon. So I ask that we approve to exercise the first of 2 option years contained within the original contract, and to approve expenditure in the amount of $33,420 plus any fuel surcharges and excess time fees for this plan period.
So
Second, please.
Second.
Questions?
Is the contract with, is the contract extension with Dunbar or with Burns?
Brinks.
Brinks, I'm sorry, Brinks.
Brinks took over Dunbar.
That's Brinks, but
Original
the contract will not be with Brinks.
It turned over to Brinks.
So you'll need a new set of bonds and all the other good stuff, right?
Yes, basically it carried over because Brinks bought out Dunbar.
That's okay, but I just, would you have a new name, you're gonna need new, you should just
Right.
bring your
Brinks-
bonding
Brinks bought them
data
out
up to date.
previously, so we already have those probably.
Any other questions? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Next.
Okay, second I have for, the authority pays the New York State Police to provide traffic patrol during the morning and afternoon traffic patterns that we have here at the Mid-Hudson Bridge. So I recommend that we approve an amount not to exceed $153,250 for these services that they provide to us for 2020.
Someone move it, please.
So moved.
Second, please.
Second.
Any questions?
I guess when I look at this, thing, the items we're approving, everything is going up. So it seems like me, it's a no-brainer that we've got to bring in more income somehow. That's my limited ability in business. Your expenses are going up, you got to bring in more money somewhere.
When do we normally get notification of the rate increase?
April.
April?
Any other discussion?
This is all contract-based, so we have to wait for them to.
No, I understand.
Yeah, there was a time when we used to provide this service ourselves. And in all honesty, I'm amazed at how reasonable this number is compared to what we used to spend on our own staff.
Commissioner Stan, let's not say that, they might be coming back, different prices.
We had our own police department.
Yeah, I know.
Any other questions? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Next.
Lastly, I have the third quarter Easy Pass expenditures from the New York State Thruway Authority. This relates to costs resulting from 5,975,130 transactions for the third quarter. I ask that we approve to pay the New York State Thruway Authority in the amount not to exceed $1,132,235.25.
Second.
You're right. Jesse, voice your opinion regarding that, you maybe to lower it.
Yeah, well, we'll pay the through, thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you.
Next. Tara?
Thank you, Chairman. First, I am submitting the monthly activity report for my position, and there is none.
Another exciting month.
Exactly. Second is the November 2019 traffic and revenue analysis cash and easy pass comparison that Dan Cassis prepares for me. And the gist is that the New York State authorities, bridge authorities' revenues have increased by 0.29%. Third, I have the November 2019 Easy Pass sales analysis, and the culmination of this report states that we had a decrease of 4.1% in our Easy Pass tag sales. And finally, our fourth report from Kathy Burke, the Historic Bridges of the Hudson Valley monthly report for November 2019. She has all of the accounting for her bank accounts, for checking and savings, and the highlights that she listed are that Historic Bridges of the Hudson Valley has designated the next 2 months to organize and plan for the many upcoming 2020 events, and she'll be doing additional outreach to the Hudson Valley communities to promote our bridges. She has a history intern, and that is Jade Mitchell. And that's all I've got for you, commissioners.
I think you left out one particular highlight.
Oh, please.
It was the introduction of her program at the Henry Yacht Club Mayflower.
Forget that. Come on.
Well, thank you, Roger. I heard it was.
Clearly a highlight.
We're reaching out to yacht clubs now, is that?
When they reach out to us, we,
They're on the river,
Step
they're
up.
over the river.
that's right.
Good PR.
Very good, very good. And that is all I have for you.
That's all you have? You have the committee annual reports that we're going to present to the board. We're going to do them all together with a resolution.
Yes.
Yes, that's one resolution.
One resolution for the 3 committees, audit, finance, and governance.
So moved.
Second, please.
Second.
Any discussion on any of them? If not, all in favor, say aye. Any presentations to the board? We'll look around the room. Old business, new business. I just want to make mention that over the last 3 or 4 months, our acting executive director, Tara Sullivan, has done a tremendous job, in my opinion. She has worked very diligently to deal with a lot of matters that are before this board. So on behalf of the board itself, Tara, I'd like to thank you for all your hard efforts and your staff for working very diligently to get things moving. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you all. It is these amazing people we're surrounded by.
Outstanding job.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mhm. And our last resolution, we have a move to authorize the publication of proposed rules. Second?
Second.
Any more comments regarding this? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any attorney-client privilege?
No?
A motion, before we make a motion to adjourn, our next meeting is January 16, 2020, with a meeting time at 3 p.m. Wish everybody happy holidays, and very happy and healthy holidays. And saying that, a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Thank you very much.